The room was completely still until my bell rang by itself twice. Then it flew 3 feet across the room off my bookshelf. That's when I realized a spirit here is not at peace, and what it wanted was my attention. Before we begin, I want to share something personal, something that still gives me chills. I was in my Victorian home inside what I lovingly called the Arthur Conan Doyle suite. It was a sanctuary devoted to one of my greatest inspirations. On the 3rd floor, I kept a vintage typewriter, an old-fashioned camera reminiscent of the one gifted to the Cottingley fairy girls, photographs of Arthur Conan Doyle and his beloved wife Jean, Sherlock Holmes books, and volumes detailing the fierce conflict between Arthur Conan Doyle and Harry Houdini. People from all over the world visited my home to witness the phenomenon that unfolded there. Afterlife activity, transfiguration, physical mediumship, and spiritual healing. It became a place where the veil thinned effortlessly. I paid tribute to the mediums and researchers who pushed spiritualism forward through scientific inquiry, pioneers whose legacy called me to paranormal research work, where I sought verifiable evidence of the afterlife. One day, while framing a picture of Arthur Conan Doyle and his arch nemesis, Harry Houdini, I paused and wondered, does their conflict still exist in the afterlife? Am I bringing unresolved energy into my home? As I asked myself that question, my bell rang. Not once, but twice. And then, without warning, it leapt off the bookshelf and flew 3 feet across the room. I was frozen. Was it a warning? A greeting? A reminder that ancient conflicts don't always rest? That the spirit world, like us, still seeks peace. This moment shaped the way I teach mediumship through evidence, research, and spiritual evolution. And it's why I share stories like this with developing mediums like you. Now, let's enter the world of Arthur Conan Doyle. Most of the world remembers Sir Arthur Conan Doyle as the brilliant creator of Sherlock Holmes, a man of logic, precision, and razor-sharp intellect. But you, as a student of mediumship, intuition, and life beyond the veil, you deserve to know the deeper truth. Conan Doyle's greatest obsession was not mystery. It was spirit. It was survival, and it was love. This literary genius stood boldly beside the pioneers, the inventors, and visionaries who shaped the spiritualist movement. And you are walking the very same path that they once illuminated. Welcome to the lineage of the greats. Welcome to the company of mediums, inventors, and intuitive geniuses. Conan Doyle's spiritual devotion wasn't born of imagination. It was born of love. In the 1800s, as the world began whispering of seances, he met a medium and the love of his life named Jean Leckie. Their connection was an immediate spiritual connection, but one problem existed. He was already married. Louisa, his wife, was suffering from tuberculosis, so he held his love for Jean in silence. For a decade of longing, a decade of emotional duality, a decade of questions that only the afterlife could answer. What becomes of love when the body fails? Where does the spirit go? How do we communicate between worlds? These are the same questions that you, as an emerging medium, courageously ask. And they are the questions that my spiritual academy prepares you to explore with confidence and sacred skill. When Louisa passed, Conan Doyle grieved deeply, but he knew she was not gone. He believed in reunion. He believed in continuity of the soul. He believed in love beyond form. Jean later became his partner in every sense, guiding him through his grief with her devotion until his very last breath. His final words to her were simple but luminous. You are wonderful. A truth the spirit world whispers to you as well, every time you step deeper into your gifts. Few stories capture the push and pull between skepticism and belief, like the friendship between Arthur Conan Doyle and Harry Houdini. Conan Doyle was a wholehearted believer in communication with the dead. Houdini, a wounded skeptic, was longing for proof that he didn't know how to interpret. Houdini once asked Arthur's wife, Jean Doyle, for a secret code from his deceased mother. She produced a heartfelt message, but not the exact phrase that Houdini expected. When the message didn't match his code word, he broke. Not because the message wasn't real, but because he didn't understand the way that spirit speaks, symbolically, energetically, and through the medium's filter. Heartbroken, he set out to disprove mediumship entirely. Their friendship faltered, but Conan Doyle stood firm. The afterlife is real. Communication is subtle. Love survives death. Many people laughed at Arthur Conan Doyle's belief in the Cottingley fairy photographs, where two cousins took pictures of fairies and later admitted to faking them. But they don't know the deeper story. Arthur Conan Doyle's family was filled with visionaries and people who actually saw fairies. His father, Charles Doyle, illustrated journals full of fairies he believed he witnessed. And Arthur's uncle, Richard Doyle, was one of the most celebrated Victorian illustrators of fairies. He created fairy art so lifelike that scholars questioned whether he was actually seeing fairies too. To Conan Doyle, fairies were not fantasy. They were ancestral memory, a continuation within the spirit world. Just as your intuitive gifts may be inherited, you are not the first generation to seek clear contact with the beyond. In the early 1900s, some of the greatest scientific minds attempted the same. Thomas Edison publicly claimed that he created a device to speak with the dead, a spirit phone. In 1920, he said he intended to market it. Some say that his prototype that he tried out with a variety of mediums were inconsistent, so the device never surfaced. I visited the Ford and Edison estate down in Fort Myers, Florida. I was blown away by the variety of Edison's inventions, but I did not see the spirit phone, although rumors still persist that it does exist. Around the same time, Tesla built something called the spirit radio, and he was quoted as saying, "My brain is only a receiver. There is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration." He often entered trance-like states, receiving visions and messages from entities no one else could see. These pioneers show that the boundaries between science and spirit has always been thin. The spirit world draws two types of people: those that believe because they have experienced it, and those who reject it because someone out there faked it. Since 2004, I have investigated the afterlife with disciplined scientific curiosity, capturing photographs, spirit voices, and intelligent communication. The SB7 Spirit Box echoes Edison's earlier concepts, bridging frequencies between worlds. The desire to speak with the dead is not absurd. It's ancient, human, historical, spiritual, and natural. Now I have a message for you. Conan Doyle's journey reminds you, your gifts are sacred. Your intuition is inherited. Your calling is real. You are part of a lineage of thinkers, artists, inventors, and mediums who dared to explore the unseen. If your heart is stirring, if the veil feels thin, if spirit is whispering to you, it's time. Time to train, time to deepen, time to rise into the medium you were always meant to be. Inside my spiritual academy, you join a circle of modern mystics, continuing the legacy of those who shaped history. All the links for my spiritual academy are below this video. The spirit world is ready to speak. Are you ready to listen?